So we've talked about how something becomes money, but what about the opposite of that? When something loses its status or usefulness as money, either through innovation or by regulation. So gold's Achilles heel was its physicality, in that concealing and transacting significant amounts was difficult or risky. This led to the ability for a very motivated and well-resourced government to seize, confiscate, and centralize the gold supply within a specific jurisdiction. Many of you might be familiar with Executive Order 6102, where FDR placed significant limits on gold ownership by private citizens, which removed the final barrier to inflating the US dollar by the Federal Reserve. Now, this was eventually repealed, but not after the US government had reaped the benefits. Another example is when a government decides that a currency denomination no longer serves their goals, or maybe presents them with a particular opportunity. It rarely comes with advanced warning in either case. And this is exactly what happened in 2016, when the Indian government, in one swift move, voided two of the most common banknotes in circulation. Now, at the time, that represented 86% of all paper currency that was circulating. So a very disruptive act. Now, this has happened many times in many places throughout modern fiat history. India is in no way special. It just might be the most recent exercise in demonetization that we've witnessed. And while the likelihood of demonetization may be low, it has to be acknowledged that at any point in time, a government can withdraw legal tender status of any form of fiat currency or impose restrictions on any other monetary good. And we have to keep this in mind when we think of the idea of CBDCs, which are currently being floated around by various central banks and governments. Could there be ulterior motives? Now let's move on to demonetization at the hands of innovation, and we'll start with this brief quote from Michael Saylor. He says, "Money is, and has always been, technology." What did he mean by that? Well, a good example is to go back and look at the relationship between gold and silver over time. Now, both are forms of money that took time and effort to discover, extract, refine, and mint. But remember this chart earlier showing how silver had failed to preserve its value relative to gold? Well, silver deposits became increasingly abundant relative to gold as geological exploration improved through the employment of various technologies, and we basically see that silver became easier produced, and it moved down the spectrum, becoming less effective as a store of value relative to gold. But silver and gold do not exist in isolation. So today, if we take a look at the relationship between gold and Bitcoin, we see a similar trend emerging, albeit on an accelerated time horizon. Gold becoming increasingly abundant relative to Bitcoin's perfectly inelastic supply. So we see Bitcoin leapfrogging gold in hardness. Now, this is just a continuation of a centuries-old process of creative destruction in monetary goods. Now, these transitions are the result of a host of enabling technologies that allow the emergence of a monetary good and change the incentives of holding one form of money over another, or even what we perceive to be valuable altogether. And what we consider money is evolving again right before our eyes.